This meeting is being recorded.
Good afternoon. I'm Lori Burrows, and today I will be virtually presenting the role of the World Bank in fostering globalization. The agenda will include an introduction to the World Bank, how the World Bank is fostering globalization and economic development, what they're doing to address global challenges, criticisms and reforms of the World Bank, and then an overall summary of the conclusion of how the role of the World Bank is fostering globalization. So let's get started. The World Bank, established in 1944, is an international organization committed to fostering economic advancement in developing countries. The original purpose was to lend to European countries to help them rebuild after World War II. First, loans to France and other European countries, and soon they were beginning to lend to Chile, Mexico, and India to build power plants, railways, and by 1975 to lend to countries to help with family planning, pollution control, and environmentalism. The World Bank is a pivotal international financial institution and has been the forefront of global development efforts, working to reduce poverty and supporting sustainable economic growth. Its primary mission are to eradicate extreme poverty by reducing the global extreme poverty rate to 3% by 2030, which means they envision a world where less than 3% of people live on less than $1.90 a day, and further to promote shared prosperity by increasing the incomes of the bottom 40% in each country. With 189 member countries, staff from more than 170 countries and offices in over 130 locations, the World Bank is part of the World Bank Group. This is a unique global partnership. There are 5 institutions working together as part of the World Bank Group. These institutions include the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the International Development Association, and together these 2 institutions make up the World Bank. To make the World Bank Group, they added a third, the International Finance Corporation, 4th, the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, and number 5, the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. The World Bank works closely with countries, private sector, civil society, and multilateral institutions to confront global challenges and find lasting development solutions. Their vision, like I indicated earlier, is to end extreme poverty and promote shared prosperity. This next slide is just a summary of the 2 institutes that make up the World Bank. So the IBRD and the IDA. One established in 1944, where the World Bank was established, and the other one added in 1960. Together, the World Bank alone in 2023, with these 2 associations, distributed $72.8 billion in financial assistance, focusing on accelerating poverty reduction, integrating climate considerations into development, resolving debt crisis in developing nations, strengthening health systems, aiding in fragile and conflict-affected countries, and ensuring access to sustainable energy. So how do they foster globalization and economic environment? The World Bank plays a significant role in fostering this through its mission to end extreme poverty and promote shared prosperity. It achieves this by providing financing advice and research to developing nations, which helps these countries integrate into the global economy and improve their economic standing. The World Bank's role in fostering globalization includes financial support. Here they distribute loans, grants, equity investments, and guarantees to support economic development projects in developing countries. This financial assistance helps these countries invest in infrastructure, education, healthcare, and other sectors that are critical for economic growth and poverty reduction. The second is policy oversight and reform. The World Bank works with countries to improve their policy environment, which is essential for attracting investment and participating in global trade. It advocates for reforms and promote financial sustainability, good governance, and enable environment for private sector development. They advocate for inclusive growth. They emphasize this with the importance of inclusive growth, ensuring that the benefits of economic development reach the poorest segments of the population. This approach helps reduce inequality and promotes social stability, which are essential for sustainable economic development and globalization. They're also part of promoting best practices and sharing the knowledge in economic development, governance, and environmental sustainability. This helps developing countries adopt effective policies and practices that can enhance their economic performance and global competitiveness. The World Bank supports global trade by helping countries improve their trade policies and infrastructure. This includes working on trade facilitation, reducing barriers of trade, enhancing the connectivity of developing countries in the global market. The bank further supports countries to build resilient health systems, manage debt crisis, and address fragility, conflict, and violence. These efforts contribute to stable environments that are conducive to economic development and global integration. Finally, they address global challenges. The bank addresses a multitude of global challenges that can hinder economic development and globalization, such as climate change, healthcare crisis, and conflict. By investing in health responses during the COVID pandemic, for example, the World Bank supported countries in managing a global health crisis that had significant economic implications, not just in those countries, but worldwide. So I'd like to expand further into addressing global challenges because I think this is an important piece of what the World Bank does foster. In addressing global challenges, as I just mentioned, the three that they address are climate change, healthcare, and conflict. Climate change, the World Bank provides financial support to developing countries to help them adapt to climate change and transition to low carbon economies. This includes funding of projects that reduce greenhouse gases, build climate resilience, and support renewable energy. They further provide policy advice to implement climate-smart policies that align with goals that are set. This involves integrating climate considerations into the development, planning, and promoting sustainable practices. Further, what the World Bank does is share knowledge on climate science, risk management, and sustainable development practices. It supports capacity building to ensure that these countries have the skills and resources to effectively manage climate-related risks. The second global challenge they address is healthcare. They provide financial support in ways of loans and grants to support healthcare systems, including investment in public health, infrastructure, disease prevention, and health emergency preparedness. An example of this is the pandemic response. During COVID-19 pandemic, the World Bank invested $14.2 billion to over 100 countries for health response, demonstrating its commitment to addressing global health crisis. Despite facing criticism regarding democratic governance, human rights, and environmental impact, the bank continues to contribute to global development by supporting the immediate needs in any pandemic response. Further, the bank advises on health policy reforms and improves access to healthcare, enhancing the quality of service, and strengthening health systems to better respond to health emergencies. The third global challenge is conflict. Part of the conflict support they provide is providing countries that are affected with fragility, conflict, and violence by financing recovery efforts, including rebuilding infrastructure and restoring basic services. The bank works with governments and communities to address the root causes of the conflict, such as inequality and lack of economic opportunities, through inclusive development and social cohesion programs. Finally, the World Bank provides good governance, strengthens institutions, and supports the rule of law to create stable environments that can prevent and mitigate conflict. The World Bank's approach to these global challenges is comprehensive, recognizing the interconnectedness of economic development, environmental sustainability, and social stability. By addressing these challenges, the World Bank contributes to a more resilient and prosperous global community. Even with all the support, they are faced with criticism, and as a result, they have reforms. The World Bank has faced various criticisms over the years, particularly in the areas of democratic governance, human rights, and environmental impact. In response to these criticisms, The World Bank has undertaken several reforms to address these concerns. Some of the concerns I've highlighted below, such as democratic governance, human rights, and environment, are the three main criticisms that they've been faced with. And as a result, they have created reforms. Governance reforms. So the World Bank has made efforts to increase the voice and participation of developing countries in its decision-making processes. It has implemented measures to enhance transparency and accountability in its operation. In response to concerns about human rights and environmental impact, the World Bank strengthens its safeguarding policy. These policies are designed to ensure that World Bank finance projects do not harm people or the environment. They include policies on environmental protection, involuntary resettlement, Indigenous peoples, and other. Next, the bank has established an independent evaluation group to assess the results and the effectiveness of its projects and policies. This helps to identify areas of improvement and ensures the bank learns from its experiences. Next, the bank has raised its social and environmental standards, requiring borrowing countries to meet certain criteria related to human rights, labor standards, and environmental protection as a condition to receive these fundings, whether it be a loan, grant, or equity instruments. Finally, the World Bank has emphasized inclusive development in its strategies, aiming to ensure that the benefits of economic growth reach all segments of society, including the poor and marginalized groups. In conclusion, the World Bank continues to evolve its policies and practices in response to ongoing criticism and changing global context. It remains committed to its core mission of ending extreme poverty and promoting shared prosperity, while striving to do so in a socially responsible, environmentally sustainable, and inclusive manner. It fosters globalization and economic development by providing financial support, advocating for policy reforms, addressing global challenges, and promoting best practices, supporting global trade, building resilience, and advocating for inclusive growth. Its work, the World Bank's work, continues to a more interconnected and prosperative global economy. Thank you, and I do encourage any questions that you have around the World Bank. I'm happy to answer it via chat. Thank you and have a great